There will be spoilers ahead for the final season of Attack on Titan. After going out in a literal blaze of glory, watchers of the series hung their heads as yet another fan-favorite character left their final mark on the scouts in their mission. Having been the successor to Erwin, Hange had some massive shoes to fill, as all the admiration for the previous commander was collected from the numerous tactical maneuvers he so masterfully put on display over the course of his stay in the series. From her own perspective, she was not the proper scout to take over the reins of the regime, but I think many out there would disagree with her notion. Hange has an unmatched interest towards the mystery of these titans that seriously doesn't get the credit it deserves as an impactful influence to the scouts' cause. Sure, there are more pronounced moments from even just the two other commanders we see in Erwin and Armin, but what's so impressive about Hange's efforts isn't always as easy to point out as it is amongst the other flashy and quotable characters we come to know. In this video, I'll be going over the various qualifying traits exclusive to Hange that make her one of the most underrated scouts to exist in Attack on Titan, and showing how she may have been one of the most dedicated members of the team towards the most important objectives in the series. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe, as over 98% of you who watch aren't subscribed to the channel. You can't bring up the dedicated scout Hange without coming across her over-the-top obsession with what makes the Titans tick. While nearly every character had the reaction to these monumental beasts that the viewer would expect, Hange was a bit different. Any possible fear towards the Titans was either masked or eliminated entirely from the unquenchable thirst for more knowledge and data pertaining to them. Right out of the gate, she comes off as a bit strange as she defies everything we have come to learn about the Titans. When she keeps the two Titans, Sonny and Bean, in captivity for her experiments, Hange willingly places herself in danger time after time as she has a determination to learn more about these threatening monsters derived from pure passion alone. A member of the scouts with this point of view towards the Titans is honestly invaluable, as any typical scout is going to be incapable of properly executing on missions solely because of the influence of fear added into the equation. Not to mention how this perspective may have been one of the most influential factors in the acceptance of Erwin into the Survey Corps, as she was able to see the value in keeping him along to level the playing field in combat, as well as to have the research on the Titans right at their fingertips. Because of this diligent accumulation of information, why did I write that? Hange has a grasp on combating these Titans that was replicated or exceeded by very few characters we see. When mastery of strategy in the ODM gear wasn't quite enough to keep up with the developing conflicts with Reiner's Armor Titan, Hange was a key player in the development of the Thunder Spear, conceptualized from secret technology that was discovered to be hidden by the Interior Police. This new devastating piece of equipment is the only reason the Survey Corps are able to defeat Reiner in the Battle of Shiganshina and win back what was theirs. Her invention of this weapon, though, wasn't her only contribution towards this battle, as she has a moment that's a bit more gritty. The first injury suffered by the Survey Corps is the crazed Titan lover herself, after Berthold causes an explosion from transforming into the Colossal Titan. After being put out of commission for a bit, as soon as Hange is back to her senses, she's right back in the fight and deals a decisive blow with her new invention that allows Mikasa to shoot the finishing Thunder Spear shot into Reiner's nape. After this encounter, Hange has one of the most assertive moments we see from her, as most have her displaying the silly comedic relief we treasure her character for. Just a bit before her heroic moment in helping defeat Reiner, possibly the most influential figure in Hange's tenure with the Scouts set off on a charge to give his own life for the sake of the Survey Corps being able to win the day. This thrusted Hange into a sudden place of authority and influence beyond her previous accomplishments in the Scouts. She was now the 14th commander of the Survey Corps. Here begins the most gripping portion to Hange's storyline and character arc, as before she was able to live a life of curiosity and passion, where she could execute on her role as the researcher of the Scouts, and fulfill her destiny to learn every last bit about the Titans as she could. Now, while I'm sure the love for researching the inner workings of the Titans is still there with her until the end of the series, from the moment that Erwin died and Hange succeeded him as the commander, she was forced to assume a much larger and more serious burden that demanded far more attention than she could handle. While everybody knew that she was capable of commandeering the Scouts in a manner just as potent as her predecessor Erwin, we understood that it would be in a different package, and that's where the concern came in the relation to her as a direct replacement for Erwin. But to expect her to act as so would be to ignore all the astonishing capabilities that Hange is able to display. Her dedication in consoling and corralling her troops when the situation calls for one or the other gives the Scouts a greater sense of unity than ever seen before. Sure, there are traits exclusive to Erwin that allowed for him to succeed in his time as commander, but I would argue that while effective, he was, in many instances, a very reckless strategist, which led to many unnecessary deaths. Though I wouldn't have it any other way, as Erwin's charge is an all-time moment that, without his style, just wouldn't exist. Back to Hange though, she takes these voids of compassion and Titan insight that were present in Erwin's stint as commander, and fills them in a way only she would have been able to. Even when having to deal with the rebellious nature of Erwin in the final season, Hange keeps a level head when needed to. Erwin nearly transforms on her in a fit of rage while locked up, and all she has as a reaction was to call him a perv. Though this could prove to be a front, as immediately after this dispute, Hange collapses from mental exhaustion, telling Erwin that he made a mistake in choosing her to take the reins of commander. This is another reminder of just how human everybody present is, and exactly what the core to Hange's character arc is. Until the very end of the series, she's constantly operating as commander under the guise that she isn't capable enough, when time after time she proves herself wrong most of all, and pulls through as a leader whose shoes couldn't have been filled by any other candidate. She's actually a part of one of the most pivotal actions in the entire final season, colluding with Peak and Reiner to convince them to join their cause in defeating Erwin. Without these banded forces, who says Erwin wouldn't have already succeeded in his ultimate goal by this point in the story? In terms of a grand scale, her strategic merging of Paradis and Marleyan forces is without a question one of the biggest factors in allowing the scouts to stop Erwin. Okay, fine, I'll get to the scene that we all think of when we bring up Hange and her moments in the final season. My favorite aspect about this scene is how Hange displays all of her giddy, childish characteristics in a supremely heroic fashion. From the very beginning, we identified Hange through her admiration of the Titans, and there is not a trait left out of this sequence to leave us questioning just what kind of character she was. As Hange crests the top of the line of sight over the colossal Titans, she has no fear, displaying that iconic amazement from these monstrous foes that we've always known her to have. While not confident in her ability to succeed the beloved Commander Erwin, this heroic moment proves that she was everything he expected her to be as a leader and more. I'm sure this scene impacted everyone similarly, as Hange pulls off one of the greatest feats from any individual scout. Slaying numerous colossal titans with just her own ODM gear and equipment, she proves just how dependable deep knowledge combined with pristine mechanics can be when versing these enemies. Though at the end of it all, Hange succumbs to the sheer magnitude of the moment she's a part of as her gas tank explodes from the heat of the colossal titans, plummeting her towards the water while the rest of the scouts watch in horror as their former leader finally meets her fate. Especially Armin, as not only does he have to make sense of being the new scout commander, he knows exactly what it's like to be overwhelmed by the fiery blazes of the colossal titans. Hange had an impact on the scouts that could only ever be delivered by a standout soldier like her. And as the rest of the scouts convene in a final effort to stop Erwin, not only do they carry the will and strength bestowed upon them by Erwin, they have the sharp insight and deep sincerity displayed by Hange in her time as commander. And shown from her many achievements, those traits are invaluable. If you enjoyed this video, please check out the rest of my channel, and consider leaving a like and subscribing, as it really helps me out. Thank you.
Hikote
飛び立ったよ。ハンジ、お前は役目を果たした。